In this episode, we're meeting with one of the world's fast-rising shoe designers, Aruna Seth. Aruna, you're one of the most loved, favoured, popular and talked about shoe designers of our time. How has the past few years been for you?
Amazing. Doing something you love, and it's every girl's dream to be surrounded by shoes. So it's really exciting.
The world of fashion is extremely competitive. Why would you enter it?
Well, I love fashion, and most of all, I love shoes. Shoes is a part of me. My father has a shoe company, and I've grown up around shoes, and it's just me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood?
Yes, of course. Every summer I work with my father. It really gave me such an in-depth experience about how to make shoes, the technical side, how to run a business, the ups and downs, and that's, I think, why people are in fashion. There's the highs and the lows, but it's about really passion.
And what exactly did you do for your father?
I did lots of things, and what he says is something that's really been instilled in me, since I was young. You have to know every part of the business. So it's not just about making pretty shoes and being able to wear them. It's all about, going to see the warehouse, the shipping, managing people, the technical side, designing. And designing, unfortunately, is just a small part of what we do.
Everybody has this impression that high-end luxury fashion is a glamorous industry and, of jet-setting all around the world and meeting glamorous people and Hollywood personalities, etc. But is it actually a glamorous job?
I think you can make it glamorous, of course, and that's where PR comes in. But no, I think I'm very lucky to do what I do. But of course, it's hard work. It's no sleep. You have to always be prepared, and you always have to take a great opportunity where it comes. But I'm fortunate now to decide which opportunities I can take, and to also decide what people I'd like to work with. But I like generally working with good people and doing, just hard work. But also you get a lot out of it.
So a shoe is your canvas, but where do you get your inspiration from?
From everywhere. From my family, from travelling, from childhood, lots of different things. Say for instance, the butterfly is an integral part of my design. It's our best-selling shoe, the actual ones I have on at the moment. And this really, the butterfly means freedom. It's part of, it's very liberating. So as a female designer, and as using that on a lot of my shoes, it's beautiful, it's an elegant creature, and it symbolises freedom.
Actually, let's talk about that, because we've got male designers such as Manolo Blahnik, as well as Jimmy Choo, Christian Louboutin, Emilio Pucci, who are dominating the world of fashion and design. How do you fit, and how do other women fit within the whole man's world of high-end design?
Well, the designers that you mentioned, they're all amazing designers with a lot of heritage, and I think that's a key point to mention. They are they've been around for years and years, and that may have been because 10-20 years ago you could only be a designer really if you were a man with even lady shoes. So it's nice that back to 10-20 years on, now young girls go to London School of Fashion. I had maybe a different route that I worked with my father, but still my father made shoes. So I think really the shoemaking, especially in Italy, was a man's world, as a lot of other things were. So it's very exciting and again liberating that women can be female shoe designers now. So
there are supermodels out there that are licensing and trademarking their name to various parent companies for fragrances, accessories and other core products. Now, you conceptualize as well as produce and market your own products. How do you manage to do all that?
Yes, it's all consuming. It's 24/7. But it's amazing. I think as having a company, you want to know every step. Even in 10 years' time, you want to know when you're managing, okay, I did that. So you can also teach people and show them the way, and I think that's very important for people working in your company, and to have that nice family workplace as well. You know, it's really important for me, for everyone who works for me, to be happy as well. Happy that you're there, and have fun.
So how many people work for Aruna Seth?
I'd say there's around 6 or 7 of us, and everyone, you know, who works for me, everyone's great. You know, we have fun whilst we're doing it, but everyone works really hard, and they know that fashion is, one day you have some crazy exciting, you know, we'll have Pippa Middleton wearing the shoes, and the next day we'll have to, you know, sort out the stockroom, the next day the new collection could come in. You know, there's always something, and that's what I say to anyone who's going to fashion. It is ups and downs, there'll be real lows and real highs, but it's all about being positive.
So let's talk about the royal wedding. Billions of people around the world watching it. How did you feel?
It was amazing. We had so much press running up to the wedding that Kate could potentially wear the shoes, and I mean, it was rumoured that she was going to wear, say, 4 pairs of shoes, say, walking up the aisle, the after party. It was amazing. On the actual day, she did choose to wear 1 pair of shoes, which were Alexandra Queen, like her dress. So for me, you know, she looked amazing, but it was a shame that she didn't choose a designer like myself. Something different. But we had Pippa in the evening, all the shoes, and that was amazing, because I was actually flying to New York the next day, and I was so upset the whole day, because, you know, thinking that Kate could potentially wear them, and then to have Pippa, and of course the whole story around Pippa, the next day landing in New York, and I think more people knew about Pippa than they did about Kate. So that for me was the icing on the cake. That was incredible.
Every designer or entrepreneur would love to penetrate the royal circle. It's the ultimate circle. How did you manage to do that?
Well, actually, Pippa contacted us, which was incredible. We were actually working with the palace, sending them lookbooks and shoes and things, but in the end, it was amazing for us. Pippa contacted us, she knew what she wanted, and also she's a great client, a lovely girl, and she's recently been seen wearing our handbags, our other shoes, so, you know, it was a great client to have.
So she has been a long-term fan of Aruna Seth shoes. And Kate Middleton also, and I know that Princess
Beatrice and Eugenie, we have a nice royal following, and I think because they had so much publicity last year, it's all about, they like to look, as the royal family, elegant, to be noticed, but also they have to have that right touch of elegance, but also a bit royal special, and that's what Aruna Seth shoes really are about, to be noticed whilst keeping elegance.
Let's talk about the comfort factor. How important is that to you?
Very important. The reason actually I wanted to start my own brand, my own luxury brand, was because I was so sick of buying shoes that were so expensive but were uncomfortable. So I said to myself, okay, you know, why do I want to do this? It's the comfort factor, but also the wow factor, and Aruna Seth shoes are shoes to get noticed. So throughout every shoe I make has a special padding inside, and I'll show you. Shoes off. Throughout the shoes we have a special padding made of Italian nappa lining. So the padding's actually perfectly placed in order to feel comfortable throughout the day, from morning till evening. And I really think it's important about dressing from the feet upwards. So the nappa lining, it's made from the finest Italian leather, and a lot of, say, mass market shoes use pigskin, and so when you get that sweaty feeling, when you get, say, blisters on your feet, that's the reason why. So I'd say to anyone out there, always check your shoes for the leather inside, rather than, you can tell the difference between pigskin and leather.
So heels are never comfortable, but your goal is to ensure that your heels are comfortable.
And it's not about the heel height. And that's what a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to wear too high heels, or some people have a perception that flats are uncomfortable, you know, certain flats they wear. It's all about the padding inside. and of course how well the shoes are made.
So high-end is very niche. There's a very limited and small number of people who can actually afford your shoes. Why did you decide to go high-end rather than mass low market?
Well, I wanted to go high-end because, one, I wanted to be making a product which I was truly passionate about. Two, I was and I still am the high-end consumer which bought luxury shoes, and that's what, I'd say to anyone starting a company, it's all about knowing the product and having passion about the product and being able to research it, because then you can truly make a product which is good for that market. So it's a very key point. But then my father, he makes mass market shoes. He's been doing that for, say, 25 years now, and that's a constant source of friction, especially when I go home sometimes for dinner or something, that he'd love to copy my shoes and bring them to China. But of course I will stop that. But he's very proud of the shoes I'm making now, and especially last year with Pippa. We've had Kate Hudson recently, the Jubilee shoes. He loves buying beautiful shoes for my mother, so he truly appreciates it as well.
So how do you shift from being a British designer to getting your products into the international market?
Well, it's a lot of PR we do. We recently spent a couple of months in Los Angeles doing the Golden Globes, which we're very fortunate to go to, the Oscars, the Grammys. We did all those shows. Very interesting. They want different kinds of shoes, different celebrities there. You have to really be there in order to work with the stylists. And then, of course, New York for sales. The New York market is incredible. Texas, I recently went to. Really, those high net worth individuals throughout the US. The UK market is a lot smaller in comparison to the US, and then we're going to start expanding to Asia next month.
So you can't just land in Hollywood and get the stars to wear your shoes. How did you penetrate that market?
Well, it's very much dealing with the stylists and also our contacts and networking. We actually sent a load of shoes over last year for the Oscars, and we had such a good reception. They said, if you were here, it'd be so much easier, because then the shoes would take 3 days to ship. They'd be here. So that's what we did. We went to Los Angeles this year, and we really, made an impact, and it was brilliant. So
as a designer, you've been hubbing out of here in London, but to grow internationally, you had to build your network. How did you do that?
Yes, of course. I'm actually looking for a showroom in the US, but actually my PR went for a couple of months to LA. So I think when you're investing so much money for a couple of months, you do have to have somebody there. So we want to replicate the same thing in New York this year. And also it is about travelling, it is about getting out there and having showrooms in different places or agents. But I'd say to, again, anyone starting a business, know your network, and also, don't be afraid to ask people that you know, but people who are genuine.
That's a great point, actually. Who are your mentors and who has helped you through?
Yeah, my father is my biggest mentor, and it is great to have, such a wealth of experience to turn to, especially when things get stressful, or he works a lot in Asia. I just think to myself, I always say to him, there's so much more to talk about every day, because he's had so many years of experience. But I do have other mentors as well, and I think it's important to have people that you know, or mentors in different sectors, especially say in banks and things. Say my friends who work in banks, they give me invaluable advice. And then of course Aldo, he's another one of my mentors. He has a massive, huge company. And then I have various other mentors, and it's important to always have that sounding board.
So we've got Kate Hudson, Goldie Hawn, Katherine Heigl, Emily Blunt wearing your shoes. Are there any other Hollywood stars that you've seen wearing Aruna Seth?
Well, I recently met Rachel Bilston the other day. That was great. I just happened to see her the other day in New York. She's been wearing the shoes. J-Lo. We're still waiting for our photo, but she has the shoes, and then we spoke to her stylist the other day, so it's very, very exciting. And J-Lo for me that's a perfect case of, she's been through lots, but she's always had that perfect stature. She looks amazing. She does lots of different things, but it's always about being elegant and having that wow factor.
And any other icons you'd love to be wearing, Aruna Seth?
I'd say for me, royalty is, number one, and I'm so happy that can sit alongside Hollywood, especially when Kate and William went to Hollywood. I mean, they're almost on another level. It's amazing, in Hollywood, bow to them. And but I'd say Cameron Diaz is someone I'd love to see. I know she's seen the shoes, she loves them, so that's just in the pipeline, which is very exciting.
Angelina Jolie?
Angelina Jolie, I love her. I mean, maybe she might wear them for her wedding. You never know.
I don't see Aruna Seth expending a lot of money on expensive advertising campaigns in high-end magazines such as Vogue, etc. So, what's your trick to gaining a lot of PR?
Well, I'd definitely say social media is so important right now. We really concentrate on our Facebook, on our website is very important, and Twittering and linking all of those things. At the moment we have just over 5,000 followers on our fan page, which is incredible, and we love to keep them excited. It's not just about showing them, here's a shoe. It's about when I'm in the factory, I'm just showing them, I'll send the photo and say, these are the new shoes. They haven't even been completed. Things like that they would never have known about before, and that's what keeps our fans excited.
So let's take a step back then. If there was no social media, would the Aruna Seth brand still be as popular?
Yes, and I think it's very much about doing other things and the grassroots. We do events in London every single month, and actually last year, when Facebook wasn't as big as it is this year, we did events in lots of different places, from the Ritz to the Langham Hotel, to the London Hotel in New York, which we love. We've just done a nice press event there. It's really about where you are, finding your location, how can you infiltrate that market, and also where you're making sales, finding out what people love. But actually Facebook and Twittering and our website, especially say when you have a product on your website and you can actually see how many people have liked it, that's such an amazing way of monitoring, your brand.
It's actually very hard to pick your nationality and heritage. Where is Aruna Seth from?
Well, my father is half Indonesian, half Indian. My mother is half Jamaican, half English. So our food at home is very eclectic, and my parents, yes, they're exciting people.
That means we share something in common.
Yes, you're Indonesian.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
You've had a brilliant career and you're living your dreams, but what would you say is the hardest challenge you've ever faced professionally?
The toughest time, I'd say, I think this year, so I'm this is my 4th year now, I'd say this year I finally started to take a step back, and I don't work till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'd say, yes, it's always tough, but when you first start out, there's a different kind of level of difficulty. But I'd say it's always about seeing the positive side. I'm very, very fortunate to do what I do. It's all about hard work, and I'd say anyone who's in fashion, PR, who wants to start their own thing, it's all about doing the groundwork, and also it's all about doing lots of different things. It's not just about designing like we mentioned before. It's about, say, social networking. It's about doing events. It's about being the face of events. It's about travelling, then the technical side, making the shoes. In anything you do, there'll always be your downsides, but it's all about seeing the upsides and just appreciating life.
So there's a lot of bravery and courage involved in putting your name on a company brand. Did you have any fears?
Well, I try not to have fears at all. I'd say the only thing is being positive, but definitely about putting your own name on any product is all about saying, I'm here for the long term, and I'm here to stay, and it's about pushing your brand and really seeing it grow. My father invested in my company. He gave me 2 years. He said, here we go with it. Especially as you know, in Asia, it's a man's world. And I'd say it still very much is a man's world there. So daughters, I have 2 brothers, so my father's all about my brothers doing things. So it's almost like he's quietly proud, but also quietly confused why girls are doing so much as well. Yeah, it's interesting.
What's the greatest lesson you've ever learned from your parents?
Definitely always look at the positive side. You know, my parents, I think with anyone who has been brought up with their in a family business, I think they bring a lot more stress home. Whereas with parents which have a 9-to-5 job, when they leave they're like, okay, I'm on holiday. But you know, as a young child, I can even remember, you know, say being in Mauritius and here we go, I'll give you 10p, run and take a fax. You know, I was constantly running around. It never stops. You know, you don't get away from it. But that's also the exciting thing. You know, even when we're sitting on the beach, my father was still working. It's all about having that built into your system, and you know, that's experience, and that's amazing.
You obviously have a lot of pride in being British. How has living in London influenced your style?
Well, I'm very lucky to be able to produce my shoes in Italy. We actually produce in the finest factories where Yves Saint Laurent and Michu, they all make their shoes there. And I wanted to find the best of the best. But also, being British, it's such an amazing year, like it was last year to be British. The Queen's Diamond Jubilee, it's 60 years. We're so fortunate to have a royal family, which we do. You know, they're always doing so many events, they're getting out there, and they're very elegant. And so I wanted to design some shoes which are exclusive to Harrods, which are beautiful, elegant, they're beautiful from the inside and out.
So Aruna, you used to work in banking at Morgan Stanley. With Aruna Seth shoes just launching everywhere around the world, would you ever go back to banking?
I think once you have your own thing, it's your own baby. I don't think you can ever go back to... You don't ever want to lose that. You know, it's your company. So no.
So if I was a young designer, an entrepreneur, anywhere around the world, what advice would you give me?
I'd definitely say do your research. Do something you're passionate about, do something that you have knowledge about, and, you know, get other people's advice, you know, speak to your family, and again, do your research about where's the best place to make the product, how do you want to make your product, what do you feel comfortable in doing. There's no point in making shoes in Brazil if, you know, you don't have lots of air miles to go to Brazil, and it costs you £900 every time you want to get on the plane. So, you know, I'd think about where you're localised as well. That's very important.
Aruna, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.